Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. It's me, Mathias, here to do probably one of the shortest final order cutoffs we've had in ages. As we're getting prepared for the holidays, all the distributors and publishers seem to be a little bit more relaxed than normal, and they're taking some time off. That's why we had some very intense final order cutoffs over the past few weeks. But we get a very, very simple array this week, which allows us more time to focus on the indie publishers. And we're going to have an incredible special guest in the way of an indie publisher sales and marketing representative talking about the importance of final order cutoff and why you want to reach out to your local retailer, or your local retailer wants to participate on that to make sure you get those awesome books. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll start that incredible intro and explanation of final order cutoff momentarily as I hang out with my little crypto here, the most amazing Kryptonian super pup imaginable. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and today we're going to be discussing items on Final Order Cutoff for Monday, December 23rd. It's like Christmas Eve. So retailers are going to be stressed, and thankfully it's a small week. So we'll be able to talk about the majority of items on Final Order Cutoff. Now, as always, we use 2 websites for Final Order Cutoff. Since there's no DC comics on Final Order Cutoff, you don't have to worry about checking out lunardistribution.com this week. Everything's going to be available at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. And I can show you some of these amazing items as we prepare for today's show. As always, at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, you can see what week you're going to be finalizing your orders for right there. It is Monday, December 23rd. And we're going to start it off this week very nice and easily with some of the bigger titles that Boom Studios puts out. Now, Boom has some great titles that we're going to be ordering for 2025. Yes, we're at that point where we're ordering comics that will be released next year, 2025. Big one on there. And we're going to start off with a one-shot from the Tiny Onion himself, James Tynion, Werther Dell'Edera, and the classic Something is Killing the Children cast. Kyle, are you reading the Something is Killing the Children series from Boom?
No.
You're
I
missing
read the first 25 and then kind of stopped and started picking up the trades. But I do read every one of the one-shots and like the spin-offs, and like one of my favorite books from this past year was House of Butcher.
Yes.
Or as I like to call it, House of Boucher. Because it's set in New Orleans, and that sure looks like how you would say Bobby Boucher's last name.
It does. Well, that actually works out perfectly then, because speaking of those one-shots, the newest one-shot is on FOC this Monday. It's the Book of Cutter, or if you wanted to get more Creole with it, I'm sure you would call it the Book of... I thought you were going to have some great French accent for that.
No, I'm really hoping that this one is set in the Middle East, so we can call it the Book of Qatar.
Ah, there you go. Actually, it is set in Europe, as we're going to get to see the House of Cutter with that. So we're going to deal with these new interesting twists that have developed, oddly enough, from issue 25 onward of Something is Killing the Children. We're going to get a wonderful group of storytelling as we deal with Maxine Slaughter as opposed to Erica Slaughter or Aaron Slaughter, going after the former pack hunter, or going after the House of Cutter in Europe. So this will be an exciting one-shot. It's a thick $10 one. There's a lot of great covers. Obviously, Dan Mora launching us with that big A cover on that. It will be a very thick standalone. So if you're new to the House of Slaughter, if you're new to Something is Killing the Children, you can dive in with this. But if you're a longtime fan, this gives you a lot of answers and interesting tales, particularly with our villainess that we saw in Something is Killing the Children 25. So I'm very, very excited on that.
Well, then we're going to call it the House of Qatar.
There we go. There it is. There it is.
Fancy Euro accent on it.
I like it. A lot of great covers on that. And if you are a big Slaughterverse fan, so you're loving Something is Killing the Children and everything, we also have the newest issue of House of Slaughter on FOC this Monday, which is going to be the fourth part of the Azure storyline. And it really awesome, has covers, multiple covers by In-Hyuk Lee. So we, of course, have our Blue Mask here. And then one of my favorite characters outside of Erica Slaughter, we have Bait, the poor young boy who is bait for all of the monsters that the Order of St. George hunt down. One of the White Masks. I mean, you got to love this. Poor kid has lost so many limbs and parts to baiting the monsters to come out, and is still just one of the absolute badasses in the Order of St. George. So beautiful In-Hyuk Lee covers.
I want this character as the movie.
I hope that when we get the TV show that is in production, we get to see Bait. But yeah, having him as the protagonist would be quite the interesting tale, especially if you're reading House of Slaughter. He's had some epic story arcs.
See, and this is the thing that I will say about Something is Killing the Children and the Tiny Onion stuff, right? It's so House of Slaughter, House of Cutter, House of Boucher, however you say it, right? The fact that it didn't come out with House of Slaughter, and then it's the other House of Slaughter and the other House of Slaughter, which just lends to that Tynion, the longest names in the history of comic trope that he loves. I appreciate that because it makes it easier to remember what you're reading.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, now that being said, Tynion is great at it, and Boom really pushed for it. Nothing beats the Japanese manga. One of these days, we just need a spin-off show where it's just us reading these epically long paragraph titles of manga.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I saw The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yes.
And I thought, that's too many syllables for the title of a book.
And that's like a fraction of where they get these days.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, this FOC is definitely the FOC of Tiny Onion as Boom Studios slowly becomes the Tiny Onion publisher. Well, we do have continuing series like In Bloom, the penultimate issue of Lawful. Another one I want to point out is a classic James Tynion piece from Boom, Memetic and the Apocalyptic Trilogy. Memetic was a great miniseries from, I want to say, well over a decade ago, possibly more. But now we're going to get a combo of Memetic, Cognetic, and Eugenic, all three-issue miniseries. So a trilogy of three-issue arcs for $30. It's just
And
all fees there.
they're re-releasing the number ones.
Yes, they have been releasing the number ones as archive editions.
Yeah, so I just reread Memetic for the first time in forever, and was like super triggered because like it seems 10 years ago it seemed like science fiction and far-fetched. I've been on TikTok. I'm not sure how far-fetched that is anymore. And so, for sure this is one to watch out for, but just know it comes with a trigger warning.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite part about it was I did not realize until this trade paperback announcement that Eric Donovan was the artist on all three of those. His art style, in my opinion, does change throughout.
Mhm.
So I didn't put two and two together. So it is going to be awesome to see this all in one binding and be there for people who just didn't realize who James was more than a decade ago. Because James really has blown up in the past decade with something, or well, in the past 5 years, honestly, with Something Is Killing the Children, his epic Batman run, Nice House on the Lake, and countless other titles that has allowed him to make Tiny Onion the incredible company that it is and offer so many publishers his brilliant writing. But I mean, you go back a decade ago to things like Memetic, The Woods, even his backups and supported stories with Scott Snyder that he was doing at DC. And they were brilliant tales, but they were not getting the spotlight that they deserve. And now it's going to be awesome to see stores just stocking up on this. But nevertheless, still worth reaching out to your local comic shop and letting them know that you want Memetic or any of these other classic James Tynion pieces because you love Tynion now and may have missed out on these a decade ago.
If you've been around the experience for more than a minute, you've heard me kind of complain about how sometimes it feels like Tynion is out here doing too much. And so sometimes you'll have a week where he's got 3 or 4 books out, and one of them is just a little bit not as strong as the others. But if you go back to the era of Memetic and some of that stuff for Tynion, so strong.
Yeah. I also want to point out, if you haven't been reading Minor Arcana, if you like a lot of Tynion stuff, Jeff Lemire has his love letter to Vertigo, of which, of course, Tynion is now going to be one of the head figures. And this super popular comic Boom is putting out is finally getting a trade paperback. There is a traditional cover with Jeff Lemire on it, as well as a tarot cover that is a direct market exclusive, so you can only get it at your local comic shop as opposed to those big box stores. Jeff is writing and drawing it, so this is classic Lemire. And it's a fun one. A young woman returns to her Midwest small town home to take over her mother's psychic tarot reading business. And it turns out that little town has a bit more paranormal than you'd expect.
This one is super fun. I don't generally go in for the super Lemire, super paranormal stuff. I tend to like Lemire's more grounded, things like Black Badge and some of his Valiant stuff that he used to do. But Minor Arcana kind of is a great match of both grounded and fantasy and magic and that kind of thing. And he just threads that needle so beautifully. Shout out to Man vs. Noise. Howdy from LA. Sorry to hear about the break-in at Nowhere and that he likes your live sales.
Oh, yeah. We unfortunately did just have a break-in at the shop. They did a ridiculous amount of damage, but neither here nor there. We're getting ready for the holiday seasons. We got some awesome comics coming up, but I thank you for pointing that out. It was an unfortunate turn of events that has absorbed my week and will continue to absorb my next few weeks of repairs. So, in fact, actually, right after this live show, I get to go rush down to the store to deal with some more repairs and talk more about that disaster. But I mean, it sucks. Like, it just seems to be a bad time for comic shops. Not only are we dealing with bad economic consumerism right now that is making it hard to sell comics, distribution crises. Your local shop, Monarch, burnt down. It is one bad card after another.
Yeah, well, I think it's Christmas. I'll blame Christmas. Bah humbug. I blame Christmas.
No, I mean, I will say it is in the same opposite effect, though, that, I'm surviving thanks to wonderful, wonderful customers and patrons and the environment and communities that surround local comic shops. And
100%.
So,
The community has stepped up for both Mathias and for my LCS in a huge way that I can never express how grateful I am for that.
yeah.
But my overall grinchiness that is my personality has to blame Christmas until just after Christmas when my heart grows 3 sizes and I have to check into the hospital to get on a medication.
I mean, yeah, that enlarged heart issue is definitely something you want to watch out for. But that being said, it reminds me of, so thanks to that new Superman trailer, there's a meme going around, and I'm verifying right now. I want to say it was Anyone Comics that made it. Yeah, Anyone Comics out of New York made this great meme, and I am going to actually drag it over really, really quickly onto my shared screen if this works. But I love this, the crypto scene of customers shopping at their local businesses and supporting them. That is the truth right now. So as always, I cannot say that enough on this live stream. Reach out to your local comic shop, support shopping small businesses, local businesses, no matter what they are, comics, games, food, candles. Support small businesses, particularly in the holiday season, and you get to be a hero like crypto.
Yeah, I'm having tremendous anxiety because I have to go Christmas shopping after this, and I have to go buy the one thing I can't buy at a small chain store or a small local shop. And it's okay because it's literally not something a local store can sell. So you got to kind of deal with it. But when, your best friend asks for a Costco membership, you go to Costco. And really they asked to be added to my Costco membership. So it's not like I'm actually giving them any money.
There you go.
Oh, real quick. Would you mind scrolling up just a fuzz, Mathias, and clicking on Vicarious?
Vicarious. Oh yeah, man. I love Ryan Perot. So
yes.
Yeah, talk that up.
This book is bat crap crazy. And it's one of my favorites going that I don't think is getting enough credit right now. The Dan Panosian covers, which are he's done one for every
hottest cover artist of the past few months. He's been
really
around for decades, but man, he has been blowing up these past few months.
Well, and he just wrote and drew a Alice Never After story that was just heart-wrenching and great.
I cannot wait to talk about his new series at Boom that we'll be discussing in probably a few months on FOC, but his Neverland tale.
Correct. That I'm very excited for that. But this Vicarious, the title really explains what the book is in a good way. Like if you read the book, it is really about this idea of living your life through someone else's actions. But so often in our lives, we live vicariously through other people that we're adjacent to. Like, you go out to the bar or whatever, and you live vicariously through your single friend when you're not single. Or, you live vicariously through your friend who's going on a vacation to someplace cool. Imagine if you were stuck and you couldn't go out. You couldn't ever experience that. And you had to live vicariously only through the premise of being John Malkovich.
Yeah, the idea of being, rich enough that, when age and disability prevents you from going out, but you could afford to have that John Malkovich experience of physically, and mentally living through somebody else's body and actions.
Right. And at the same time, that could be your Uber Eats job. Instead of having to drive and deliver food, you are the person through whom other people live their fantasies, live their dreams, live their lives.
Quite
And
literally,
yeah, and sometimes it can get a little harrowing, but other times it's just really like my favorite thing about issue 1 was this story of I just want to look at the city. Can you go to the highest point you can get to and just look at the city? Like there's something wholesome about that is then immediately turned around going, hey, I want you to stick your genitals in this person you never would otherwise because I'm paying you to do it. And the dichotomy that the people who are providing this service have to live in makes this book just super fascinating and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it is both wonderful as a sci-fi, that is, I hate to say, a frightful possibility in our inevitable future of evolution and technological development and social media, but in the same, it is dark. It is haunting. It is not what I was expecting from Ryan Perot, who had just come off doing this amazing Power Rangers run and then doing his involvement with the Supermassive universe. This goes dark. But yeah, penultimate issue on FOC right now, which means a trade is going to be on the way within the next month or so of FOC. Pay attention. If your local comic shop has the first 3 issues, go grab them. They're something else.
Although I will say this is one that I recommend this often to people. If you're finding out about a story on issue 4 or 5 or whatever, sometimes reading a book like this, especially this book, if your mind can handle it, without getting too depressed or too messed up on it, I think the binge read of sitting down for an afternoon and just running the trade all the way through, would be a great way to tell this story.
Yeah. I mean, other than like the 30 minutes after you finish reading the entire thing, you're going to need to sit there and just like take it all in.
Right. You're going to need to Lysol your brain when you're done.
Yeah.
But again, if you're one of those people who likes to watch the Saw movies, you might really enjoy it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. We got to talk about almost everything Boom has on FOC.
Other than Power Rangers, everything that Boom has on FOC right now is vaguely like disturbing, dark, a little bit of a minefield.
Yeah, and not to say that we won't be talking about Power Rangers in our top 10 recap. That's actually a top 5 this week.
Sure, but really, otherwise, like this feels very much like Boom doing a Dark Horse week. Like, where everything's kind of, I need to call my therapist now.
So the nice easy thing is we can say there's no DC, no Image, and no Marvel on FOC this week. A lot of publishers forwent FOC this week, and we'll be doing the same next week. So it's going to be a very small FOC show. Order Up is not going to be the super hour and a half, that it's been the past week or two. We might still hit an hour though with our awesome special guest when he joins us.
He's here. I'm just making him sit in the background so I can stare at him without him seeing me stare at him.
Before we wrap up, let's take a break and talk about our awesome special guest and his great publishing history.
Absolutely. Let's real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna do a thing real fast here. I'm gonna pop myself on and do this. Guys, remember here on The Experience, we've got a lot of other great shows that we want you to tune into and check out. Like tonight's original art experience with Nick. I literally just got an email about the original art experience. Oh, yeah, I forgot we're going to show that. Ba-boom.
Yeah, actually, I got my original art from the show. I've literally been one of the customers buying on there. I got this amazing Superman page.
Yeah.
So just beautiful Doug, because of my blur on this, beautiful Doug Monkey page right there from Man of Steel back in the day. And that was something I was able to buy from Nikki.
Yeah, tonight's art show, the deal is they don't know what they're pricing it until Nick decides in the moment. So he's making it up as he goes. And if you know anything about Nick, he's going to cut his nose off despite his face and sell stuff for way less than he's paid for it and way, way less than it's worth. So just know tonight is going to be the night to watch for art. After that,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Say again.
Yeah, it's gonna kill me because you guys aren't gonna have me competing for the art pages. I'm gonna be stuck with my kid at Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think you're gonna win. That movie is phenomenal. Anyway, especially if you're grew up on playing Sonic in that little console display that they had at like Sears, you're gonna flip. But after Nick, one of the people who paved the way for people like Mathias and I to do this, Nancy McCann, who's been in this business fighting on the front lines for almost 40 years. It has her show Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited in Cleveland, Tennessee. Nancy was the LCS for Image Comics for a lot of years when she was in LA. She has great connections. Hashtag Nancy knows everybody is a thing. And then, so that's tonight from 9 to 11 Eastern, 6 to 8 Pacific Standard. And then Sunday from 3 to 5 Pacific Standard, 6 to 8 Eastern, I will be live on the air singing books with a special live sale, a producer's live sale. That's our Christmas sale / pancake benefit, which is to say the other night, Tuesday night, we did a benefit for my LCS that burned down, and we had some books, First Dark Side, that didn't sell just because they didn't get enough time on the air, or just maybe people didn't get a chance to see them. We will be reoffering those, as well as deep discount silver, bronze, and copper age books, as well as $2 back issue run filler. So we'll be doing all of that Sunday night on my show. Monday, we will probably not have Talking Shop because of the holiday. Say again?
With the money going to a good cause.
Right. A lot of the money will be going to help my LCS rebuild after the fire. We unless Mathias claims this before the show, we will have the first appearance of the Justice League.
You really going to do that? You're going to make me just claim it right now live?
Nope, I'm not. I'm saying you got to figure out your deal. I'm just going to say it might be there, but I have books that I think are cooler than that.
Sorry about that.
Huh?
It's not going to be there. I'm going to buy the first appearance of Justice.
Well, then we're going to have...
See, now you make me look so horrible to everyone else.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
We're going to have this.
Where did they just have these amazing gems?
In their safe, man. I'm not kidding. And hell, I may even have an AF-15 to show. So we'll figure that out. But I'll let you know. So that's Sunday night. Monday, we probably won't have a Talking Shop because of the holiday, but we will have Comic Collectibles and Best Coast Comics with Bronze Age Nerds, Big Me Fly, and a bunch of other great shows next week. Special interviews Tuesday with Fish Lee, and Wednesday with some creators who have Kickstarters running right now for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, for when you need to escape your family. So we were going to take a little quick break, but since I just did the quick break, why don't you just introduce our special guest, and we could bring this incredibly handsome, incredibly sexy man that's sitting in the background right now on screen and talk to him about one of my favorite books going right now.
Okay, before I do that intro, let me just outright do this. I understand the need of comic shops. Obviously my comic shop just got broken into. That's $500, or that you're not even talking numbers. That's money going to Monarch for that first appearance of Justice League. I'm buying it. I'm buying it, and the money's going to Monarch, and I'm happy, and I'm telling that right now live. Because I get to add to my collection. I get to help out a local comic shop. Let's just commit to that. Let's do it. All right, I want to bring on our wonderful guest, the incomparable man who has had decades in the industry at multiple publishers. Now, I believe, vice president of marketing and sales at Magma Comics, the incomparable Joel Elad.
Hey,
there he is. Did I
give me a promotion. I'm the director of marketing and sales. I appreciate vice president.
Yeah.
Vice president elect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In my heart, you're always going to be my new vice president.
Aw, thank you.
Had to have that Idiocracy reference.
How you doing, guys?
We're alive. We are in traditional form of me and Kyle. Neither of us have had much sleep. But
I know I'm awake. I just saw Brave and Bold 28 on screen. I'm like, hello.
As the Dutch say, upright and not crying.
There you go.
All right. So Joel, not
Yes.
only are you the director of sales and marketing at Magma Comics, but you, on top of that, have had a storied history of various sales position, both sales on publishing and sales direct. You want to tell us a little bit about you before we dive into this?
Sure. I mean, I started as a fan like anybody else. X-Men 200 was the first comic I ever owned. But in 1998, I partnered with someone to get a Diamond account and do online sales. And then in the early 2000s, I joined Top Cow Productions as the director of marketing and sales. I was a big fan of the company, bought a lot of stuff from them, and when they had an opening, it all worked out. Continued as a volunteer for the Hero Initiative throughout the years in the 2000s and 2010s, and did a lot of variant customers as a retailer with IDW Publishing. So much so that in 2016, they reached out to me and said, "We think we have a job you might like." And I said, okay. So after doing 6 years of my own comic convention, I decided let's go to IDW and be the direct market sales rep. So I used to, anytime you wanted a variant cover from IDW, I was the guy you had to go through to buy it, like it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Star Trek, etc., etc., etc. So did that, worked as part of their marketing department for 4 years.
Joel
yes,
is a big
Matt?
reason I spent the early 2000s broke.
Yes. Top Cow. I learned a lot from Top Cow when it came to variant covers. I was one of their best customers, the Top Cow booth. People think I worked there for like 6-7 years. So, but I was just getting signatures and buying stuff, and then eventually I went to the other side of the table and worked for the company. So Mark Silvestri, one of the greatest artists and great people to work for. It was an absolute delight. Worked with some great people like Rainier Geerlings, editor in chief, and Jim McLaughlin, and all sorts of others. So. And then pandemic hit, and always went back to retail. In fact, I helped with a Facebook live stream that started by a gentleman on this call who so cordially invited me to come help. And for the last 4 years, we've been slinging comics online on a bi-weekly sort of basis. So I'm keeping my retail roots strong. And then a year ago, a former IDW colleague by the name of Denton Tipton called and said, "I want to get the band back together." Said, "I want to make creator-owned comics, fuel passion projects from our creators." And that brings me to Magma Comics as the director of marketing and sales.
All right. So, I mean, we're going to be talking about some of the incredible comics that you help bring to comic shops with Magma shortly. But first, I want to point out, obviously, the topic of this show is Final Order Cutoff. Now, as somebody who has worked in the industry for multiple publishers, and then with Magma being a smaller publisher, what is the value you find with Final Order Cutoff, both with consumers reaching out to their local comic shop, but the local comic shops reaching out to their distributors to place orders for Final Order Cutoff?
Final Order Cutoff is, not trying to be hyperbole, it is one of the most important things for a publisher, because if we overprint comics, underprint comics, that can lead to the death of a publisher. Just like overordering comics can lead to the death of a retailer. So having that sense of what to print a book, FOC is one of the best tools currently that a publisher has to do that. Because yes, when a comic is put up for solicitation, you see it in the catalog, we will get initial thoughts and numbers from the retail community. But it's that movement between the initial order cycle and that final order cutoff cycle that lets us know how a book is doing. What is that increase between, the initial thoughts and the final order cutoff? Because those are real numbers. Those are customers coming in saying, "Please add this to my pull." More marketing efforts that the publishers do will see fruition for final order cutoff. We're telling our creators, and us as a publisher are telling retailers and fans, please go put your orders in. And so when we see that growth between initial and final order cutoff, that lets us know when it's time to print the comic, which we literally do the day after. We have to tell that printer because they're ready to go. How many to print, how much overprint, and that can make the difference, because I always say the most expensive part of printing a comic is turning on the printing press. So if we can print the right number or a better number, it's much cheaper and much more affordable than having to go back to press for a second printing. I mean, we've been in business almost a year. We've only had one second printing, which I'm proud about. I like the fact that we print enough so that our books are always available all the way to the trade, paperback, so that retailers can keep those books in stock in the stores. So I think it's invaluable.
And I mean, it really starts with you, the viewer. Obviously, to get that order to the publisher, retailers need to place it. But for retailers to have the confidence to order big, they need you guys, the customers that are watching this at home, to reach out to your local comic shop and say, you want something like what we have on screen, Rome Eternal. Without the customers showing there is a desire, some retailers out there might not order this book. And if retailers don't order this book, it's hard for the publisher to print the book, but also to print the right numbers that everyone who wants a copy is capable of getting it.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
It takes a while. Also, listen, we all recognize that sometimes the first time you're going to see a comic is when you walk into your store and you see it on the shelf, and then you go, "Oh, this exists," and you read it, and you love it, and you want, more. But it takes a while for the retailer to then place a reorder, wait for it to come in, and if we have to go back to press, it's going to take a long time. And by that time that happens, you may not want the book anymore. And if enough people don't order in advance, that it really affects the health of, we have to look down the road and say, what are orders going to look like for issue 3, issue 4? And if the orders, aren't strong, that may affect how your comic books exist. So it's so important, it shows that health. For anyone who pre-orders, we know that if they're interested, hopefully the other customers in your store will be interested too. And the retailer will say, "Oh, well, I got 5 pre-orders. Let me order 10. Let me order 20." And so I've heard from a lot of other retailers that, it's the strength of pre-orders really determines how much extra they order for their wall. So please, as fans, just indicate that interest, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Well, I mean, and in the life of a book, for your position, Joel, at a publisher, I mean, and you've done this once again at multiple publishers, from Top Cow to IDW to Magma. As a book is getting ready to be produced, what is one of the most important parts at your position and role for you? Like, I mean, we have putting the book together, we have the initial order, the solicitations, then initial orders, final order cutoff, and then of course the day of release. Like, where are you most stressed out?
Probably by final order cutoff, because we know that that's the majority of our orders are going to be placed by final order cutoff. Yes, if the book arrives in stores and people like it, retailers can place the reorder. But my effort is to make sure that as many stores have it on their shelves as possible, because that's the best way for a title to survive. If the issues are available for people to discover it, and if we make enough orders. Because again, going back to the first thing, that if I print 10,000 copies and then I don't have to print again for a while, that helps the success. If I have to spend money to go back to reprint, I'm doing it basically to make sure that people read 2, 3, and 4, for example. Reprints aren't money makers unless you're Marvel. So, but yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that everybody knows about the title and that they've told their retailers. And so, because then once they pick up the book, the next step is that I hope they talk about it online and get, show it to their friends and build buzz, so that when the next issue comes out, because, we ask for the orders for the next issue once current issues on shelves. So we want retailers to have that sales data so that they can confidently order the next issue. So yeah, my job is to make sure, I have editorial working on having the pages come in and lettering and all that. And my job is to make sure as many people as possible see it.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's one of the things that we want to do here on Order Up, obviously, is make this a tool that comic shops can use, and that, consumers can discover books before it's too late to order. We want to make sure that you guys watching at home are all aware and can share this with your friends, your family, your comic shop, your customers. Here's the book that is coming out. this is the chance you guys have to order it. So on that, Magma is good. They're taking a wonderful week off of FOC with the holidays and everything.
Mhm.
But let's go back and talk about some of these amazing comics that you can have already ordered, reach out to your comic shop to get reordered, or are going to be coming up on Final Order Cutoff.
Absolutely.
So obviously we have Rome Eternal on screen right now. Let's talk a little bit about Rome Eternal. This one has me excited.
So Rome Eternal starts with a very interesting premise. What happened if Rome did not fall 2,000 years ago? Imagine the Roman Empire has continued to rule for 2,000 years, keeping their traditions, but also incorporating new technology over the past 2,000 years into their rule. And so you're set in a modern day, but a modern day where Rome never fell. 2,000 years later, there is a threat to the emperor's life. There is a mysterious shadow group called the Mithra Mysteries that may be trying to overthrow the empire. And so what do the current guards in the empire do to help protect their emperor? And what is this mystery that's trying to infiltrate? And so it's that thriller mystery. The art has gotten rave reviews. Diego Yapor, he's out of Argentina. He's doing amazing work on this book. We do 2 covers per issue, both of which are being shown here. And so it really combines that old school tradition of a Roman Empire with a modern day murder mystery. There's a lot of intrigue. There's betrayal. You can't talk about the Roman Empire without someone getting stabbed in the back. The betrayal, but the use of the modern technology to update kind of that old school look of the guards and the empire, it's really thrilling. And so it's a fun read. And like I said, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. So highly recommend. You can dive in with each issue. You'll figure out what's going on, and you'll find out, while the Roman Empire has endured for millennia, is it its time to fall now? So.
I mean, and the artwork looks beautiful. It's really interesting because it has like a classic Roman gladiatorial and godlike aesthetic, but you get to see modern things like the guns. Is there like a superhero power level to this, or is this going to be more set in reality?
It's going to be set. It's kind of like augmented soldiers. So a lot of like electrical stuns, and they do a lot of the technology of kind of like getting into people's brains. Like in issue 1, they capture somebody and they're tapping into their memories to figure out what's going on. And then you find out that, just like any good, there's a double cross near the end of the first issue, which sets up a very nice cliffhanger for those of you that have read Rome Eternal #1. Now they're under the gun when it comes to issue 2, as the assassins are getting more bold. But yeah, it's not. I mean, they've got the gladiatorial suits that are augmented, but I don't think we're entering superhero power level. But imagine if you can, whether it's stun gun electricity or armaments. But that was kind of the tack that we were going for. That whatever technology would have provided in the last 2,000 years.
That's awesome. Now we'll be having issue #2 of Rome Eternal on an upcoming FOC. What week do the consumers watching need to reach out to their local comic shop by to make sure they can guarantee?
At this point, based on the data that I've gotten, in the next 2 to maybe 3 weeks, Diego is a fantastic artist, but he spends a lot of time making sure his artwork looks great. So probably by early January, I would tell your retailer to place your order for #2 and ask them if they're out of #1s to get another copy of #1 in if they want the full story.
Absolutely. Now, one that we just did Final Order Cutoff on last week was The Pedestrian. I mean, this is a great series, and we have trade paperback now, just past Final Order Cutoff, but I'm sure there's still advanced reorders that can be done if.
Absolutely. So we've printed a lot on these. So advanced reorder is still available all the way until it hits comic book shelves on January 29th. So this is one of those quirky offbeat tales that there is no one genre you can put this book into. It is kind of like a real life superhero. It's set in a place called Summer City, and you have this silent vigilante, if you will, that walks the streets. He can only do good if it means he's not breaking the law. So he can't cross the street unless the sign is up. And he is helping the citizens who seem to have unconnected lives. You find out that their lives are more connected than you realize. And he walks the streets as a vigilante because there's a deep, dark mythology going back thousands of years, actually rooted in street signs. And there's this evil organization called the Clutch with a K, that are threatening the citizens of Summer City, and so the pedestrian is there to stand guard against that. And so it's very slice of life. Like in issue 1, he helped somebody parallel park without words, and it's just so cool. But it's very quirky. It's got a lot of humor. It's got a lot of heart. It breaks through multiple genres. It's one of those fun escapist reads that everyone's looking for right now. Joey Esposito and Sean Von Gorman really nailed it out of the park. The Comics Beat actually named it one of its top 50 comics of 2024. The guys are super excited. And it's just, like I said, it's a fun escapist read. You get the full first arc. You don't need to know anything about it. Everything is explained in the pages, and you get a rich tapestry of characters. And it's just, once you read it, you're going to love it. And I just can't say enough good things about it.
Well, and I mean, I love that Magma is doing a special treat that I won't publicly talk about, but if you are a local comic shop that placed an order by FOC, you need to reach out to Joel. So if a local comic shop ordered this trade paperback before FOC, can you tell them how to reach out to you so you can provide that special treat that not only the store will enjoy, but the consumers will love?
So if you send me an email, it's simply Joel at Magma Comics with an X, MAGMACOMIX.com, and let me know which store ordered the trade paperback. We, behind the scenes, make sure that when the trade comes out, you'll be able to get a copy of the book that will come with a double-signed bookplate. So Joey and Sean have created a fun little bookplate, so you'll have a signed copy, hopefully at no extra cost. We are providing that as a thank you to all the retailers that are ordering this book. And if you do an advance reorder, you heard it here first, you would still qualify for this. So
so that's an awesome thing right there with Magma.
Yeah.
And then I got to point out really quickly, I love that, consumers are checking with their local comic shop. I absolutely adore that somebody reached out to Arsenal Comics in Newbury Park.
Timmy He just spent time at Timmy's store a couple weeks ago. So
sorry, Kyle, you have something?
Yeah, who do I have to call or bribe or buy chicken dinners for to get one of the pedestrian cardboard cutouts that Sean has been walking around with at conventions?
You have to talk to Sean about that.
So my pedestrian story is that I saw the cover art of #1. It was like hard pass. And then Sean corners, well, just because I couldn't understand, was like, is he trying not to pee? Why does he stand like that? And then Sean corners me, like Sean, not corners me. We're hanging out at a convention.
Sean Von Gorman.
Yeah, Sean Von Gorman, and hands me issue 1 and goes, just read the effing book. And I read it and I went back to him the next day. I go, okay, shut up and take my money. Like, I was absolutely hooked because I can hear the scene in New York City of the pedestrian helping the guy parallel park and trying not to talk because you never know what that means in New York City. And I was just hooked. And that was how this book works. Like, on my level, or at least for me, in my experiences, it seemed like something that maybe I wasn't into based on where I was at with what I was reading at the time. And then I read it and was like, oh, this is a comic book Will Ferrell movie. It doesn't matter if you're into horror right now. Every once in a while, you need to turn your brain off and just enjoy something fun. And this was so quirky and fun. If Fred Armisen or Mr. Bean doesn't play the pedestrian at some point, what are we even doing with our time?
And there are stakes in this. Like, it actually, I mean, stuff happens. Not so nice stuff happens. So it really kind of engages you. And then you see those threads all come together over the 4 issues. And you're like, oh. And it's just,
right.
it's just, it's really, it'll keep you guessing, and they put surprises in there. And I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, there's this huge conspiracy that just kind of by issue 4 becomes very real. And it's a good versus evil story. It's everything. Like I said, it's every genre. But at the end of the day, it's turn off the brain, enjoy the book, get swept up by it. And with the trade paperback, you get that, you don't, it's like binging. You get the full story. You don't have to wait. Those cliffhangers aren't going to disturb you as much because you can just flip the page and go to the next chapter. So
I'll be honest though, the cliffhangers in this are great.
Yeah.
Because at least to me, and other people's mileage may vary. Some of the cliffhangers are more hangery than others. Some of them are more, Sylvester Stallone cliffhanger, and others are more like the end of a season of NCIS cliffhanger, where it's like,
nice.
Sylvester Stallone's not going to fall off the mountain, but I want to see how he gets out of this, versus, oh my God, did they just blow up the main character kind of cliffhanger. So
Yeah.
like, this is a super fun, and Joey, I don't know Joey Esposito personally. I've not met him yet, but this is a team that I would like to work together for a long, long, long time.
I have said I would kill for teams like this. The two guys, this was actually born out of the pandemic. They have been pushing this as a mini Ash can for 2 years at shows like Baltimore, New York, and others, and they have just a growing fan base. They are diehard. I mean, they are just so behind this. This is their baby. And I'm so in awe of everything they do as far as marketing, the phone calls, postcards, the cardboard standees. I mean, they've gone. I've had the privilege now, just in this last year, of working with 9 different creative teams, and I love them all. But Sean and Joey are next level, and I admire them greatly. I think that they're incredible. They've been marketing this like crazy. They love it, and they're great to hang out with and very professional. And yeah, I mean, they came to us with this, and the book was almost done when they came to us. So it was a delight, and it still is. And we have high hopes for the trade. So
last thing I'll say on this one, and just because I really want to hype this book because I like it so much, even though the next book is actually my favorite Magma book right now, is Sean's marketing on TikTok, the way he is handling social media for this book, like the videos of him walking through big cities with the cardboard cutout of the pedestrian, and it's just the pedestrian standing at a crosswalk, and that's just the whole TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what's happening right now, but I'm gonna watch the whole thing to see what happens.
He did it in San Diego too. He had the cardboard cutout shipped to us direct. We had it in the booth, and they would take a break, and they would go outside, and they'd make sure to have San Diego landmarks and always have a street sign or a crosswalk involved, and they'd have people interact with the cutout. And yeah, I mean, nothing phases them. They market 24/7 when they're hitting the bars, everything. And so yeah, their videos are, I mean, they actually made a fake toy commercial. So they imagine like if the pedestrian was a toy that you could buy in stores, and they made a commercial of the pedestrian and people playing with the pedestrian and fighting the clutch, and we actually even turned it into one of those action figure toy covers. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's their energy is boundless, and it's great because it really reinforces kind of that wonderful energy that the book has. So
and I want to point out, before we get to the last title we're going to be talking about with this wonderful interview with Joel from Magma, that seems to be a bit of a theme with Magma. This isn't one interconnected superhero universe with your guys' publishing. You work with incredible creative teams, like even the hive mind of Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly on Principles of Necromancy. So when people go to Magma and they see the Magma logo, what is it they're expecting? What is the thing that ties it all together? Because I know you guys work with some incredible creators, and this isn't generally building a universe of superheroes. What is
correct? So we are trying to create a place that offers mature genre fiction. The Pedestrian is the closest thing to a superhero title, but it really is more an everyday, a quirky slice of life. There is some mythology elements to it, but our goal is really, there's a lot of great, FOC talks about a lot of great superhero titles. We are not taking anything away. You know, I read superhero titles too, but that's not the genre that Magma's looking for. We're not looking to do all ages or young adult. We're looking kind of for that adult audience. And when I say adult, I just mean 18 and over, not, you know, don't put any 70s porn music behind me right now. So we want to provide that escapist genre fiction, whether it's horror, science fiction, fantasy or modern fantasy, thriller, you know, action adventure, if you will, but those different genres that appeal to today's, you know, 18 and above comic readers, that they can just pick up and enjoy without a lot of continuity worries. That's easy to order, easy to understand. That's really what we're trying to represent. You're getting it direct from the creators. They keep 100% control, and they're really getting to tell the stories that they can't tell at a top 5 publisher. Their ideas are unfiltered and, you know, direct to the audience, and they're just getting to tell the stories they've always wanted to tell.
And shout out to Denton for being a creator and recognizing how important that is to giving creators that ability. Like, there are a lot of creator-owned companies that forget that really quick, and Denton doesn't seem to be the kind to do that. So,
yeah, I wouldn't be at this company if we treated our creators badly.
But on that note of Denton, the next and last comic we're going to be talking about with Joel from Magma is Denton's comic. So let's talk a little about Hell's Half Acre.
Hell's Half Acre. So, imagine it's 1904 Nashville. So we're setting this kind of Western tale with some like actual dates and locations. And so it's 1904 Nashville. And if you're looking for a place to escape, there's no better place than Miss Marion's, where all sorts of activities, whether it's gambling, debauchery, or whatever, happen. And there's this mysterious gambler named Britt that shows up, and he seems to be on the run from someone or something. He's working to make his way to a high stakes poker game outside the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. And this follows his adventures, Britt's adventures, as there's not only the woman that has scorned Britt, is she going to be his downfall or his salvation? As Britt is on the run from mysterious forces as he tries to reach his goal. And so it's kind of a Western noir with a supernatural twist. After all, it is Hell's Half Acre. And so it's a great story. Denton Tipton is the writer. Jack Jadson, who's worked on titles like Thor and Nightwing, is the artist. We have covers here by Ramon Bunge. We do a character cover by, this is Gerardo Borges. We try to get kind of a higher level. And then Chris Evanhuis, who worked on titles like Winona Earp, do character covers for each issue. And so we provide, with Hell's Half Acre, we launch with 3 covers. And we want to give people that choice of which cover art that they want to accompany the story. But it's kind of that Western feel, but you do find out more about the forces chasing our protagonist in that first issue. But 2 issues have hit the shelves. We are finalizing issue number 3. It is going to be a little bit later than Rome Eternal number 2, so you have at least probably at least 3 weeks to go in and place your order for number 3. But it's an exciting tale, and every issue gets more and more dramatic as it's set again, on a live backdrop, if you will, of historically accurate places in the American South.
I mean, and the thing I love about it, I mean, I love Western stories. We don't get a lot of Western comics these days, but this is actually really pushing the realm, because this is the end of the cowboy Western era and the start of the industrial age. So you get an awesome mixture of things. You never see films, television, or comics set in this era. Correct.
So you've got the mixture of, the horses with the first automobiles, you've got trains and steamboats, and it's just, it's that conjunction, if you will, of, as the Old West is being transformed by the Industrial Revolution, you get both eras kind of at once. And so It's not meant to be the thrust of the story, but it's a wonderful backdrop and a reminder of kind of where that saga was in the earliest 20th century. So we've had a lot of fun with it. The visuals, again, like Rome Eternal, have definitely been enjoyable. And we reached out as far as covers. You know, we got Eduardo Riso from 100 Bullets. We got Glenn Fabre from Preacher. He's going to be on issue 4. Gerardo with issue 3. So we've tried to offer a very nice variety of covers for people to enjoy with our issues. But it's been a lot of fun to tell this tale. So very high hopes. Yeah.
The elevator pitch I've been using on this one is it's Maverick or Hell on Wheels or one of those meets Constantine or Supernatural or Lucifer on some level. One of those more traditional supernatural demonic stories meets one of those classic turn of the century. Not exactly a Western, but not exactly not a Westerns. You know, if it could take place on a riverboat or in a saloon with a dancing girl kind of, movies, TV shows, it's that. If all of a sudden an English guy in a trench coat with a cigarette showed up.
Yeah, I like Maverick meets Constantine actually. So
yeah, that's a solid one.
I like that, but yeah, I mean, obviously, there is a demon chasing this guy. I'll spoil it, but you don't know why, but you find out. Like I said, with every issue, you find out more and more about this overall struggle, and you see how the characters interact, and the doubts and the fears, and just the thrill of the chase, and the ingenuity that it takes our characters to survive. So, that spirit of the Old West of survival. Failure is not an option. So, yeah, it's been a wonderful tale to tell, and we are barreling towards the second half of this arc to wrap everything up.
So there's 2 issues out right now, and hopefully your local comic shop has it in stock. But for any reason, if the local comic shop is sold out or didn't get a copy yet, and you want a copy, reach out to your local comic shop. And where can the local comic shops get copies from right now?
We offer distribution through both Diamond Comic Distributors and Lunar Distribution. So we offer 2 choices for any retailer to reach out and get a back issue, if you will, of our titles. So there is choice depending on who your local comic shop likes to work with. So, and all the copies should be in stock.
Cool. So that means if for any reason your shop has sold out or doesn't have it at the moment, you can reach out to them and ask them to go through a number of different wonderful distributors to get copies back in stock so you can read Hell's Half Acre.
Correct.
Awesome.
And if you don't have an LCS, fill out the form in the chat right now, and we will, Matthias will actually get you set up, get you taken care of in that regard. So if you don't have an LCS, you can find one there or comicshoplocator.com.
There you go. So that is really exciting. I love, that you can reach out to your local comic shop always to get these items, that Magma is keeping it stocked. But as always, it's that importance of, as we said at the beginning of the interview, reach out to your shop before final order cutoff. Make sure that they know you want it, that they can order it and guarantee you the copies. And that way Magma and all the other wonderful publishers out there can print to order. I want to thank you, Joel, for taking your time to come in with us. I know that a lot of publishers didn't do FOC this week, give everyone a bit of a holiday break, but you, just like all the incredible local comic shop employees out there, took your time, even in this holiday season, to come out and talk with us. Thank you.
I'm happy to be on here. Have me back anytime.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I know that we'll have some future Magma books on upcoming FOC, so maybe we'll have you back.
That'd be great.
Oh, and any excuse I get to talk to Joel, I'm happy about. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I want to see Kyle hold up books for future shows as well.
Yeah. And while he does that, Joel, can you take your time and tell people where they can find you and where they can find Magma in the future?
So we operate a website at Magma Comics, magmacomix.com. We're on pretty much all the main social media channels at Magma Comics. Again, with that X, we are independent, so it's Magma with an Comics with an X. Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram. We're not on TikTok yet. That's the one we need to work on. But we do updates every day, show off artwork, talk about upcoming books. Website has all our solicitations and everything. So definitely check us out online. Drop a comment in any of our social media channels. Let us know what you think about the books. And yeah, and just go out. Please go out and go to your local comic shop, find some great escapism, whether it's us or any other comic publisher. Let our shops be that haven for us to be able to go into and enjoy that escapism and make our lives richer. So,
yeah. And just to answer a question that was in the comments, Joel will still be part of the Nowhere live stream, so you can reach out to me to ask more about that. But we have more books we have to talk about on Final Order Cutoff this week. So thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with everything.
See you, buddy.
All right.
So let's get back. There's not much left to talk to about FOC this week, but there is still some fun things we want to talk about. So Dynamite, not having any traditional new books this week, is actually just doing some special edition things. Some of their Dynamite website exclusives are now reaching out to your local comic shop with things like signed copies of Elvira, Gargoyles, special limited edition covers. One of the ones I want to point out, I'm a huge Cassandra Peterson fan. If you are not familiar with Elvira, I feel that you need to make yourself with her incredible film show and movies and absolutely stunning comics. If you love Elvira, there are actual Cassandra Peterson Elvira signed comics on FOC this week. Now, these are a limited number, so there will be allocations. So reach out to your local comic shop to see if they're going to be able to get these. But you look at that price point for a signed Elvira comic. I mean, Cassandra is not a cheap signature when you can meet her at a convention. So this is a way that not only can you get an awesome signed book, but you can support your local comic shop. So reach out to your local comic shop and see if they can get one of these incredible signed books.
Well, and remember, something that's really important about the Elvira books from Dynamite is that David Avalone, who writes them, co-writes with Cassandra Peterson herself. So the words that Elvira says in the book are actually Elvira's words. Like, it isn't somebody trying to mimic her voice or that kind of thing. They are very close friends, and they work together on these stories. I think it's David kind of comes up with the conceit, and then they talk through how would Elvira react to this situation, and then that's the book. So it really is, if you're a fan of Elvira, Svengoolie, that kind of world, those type of characters, it feels like you're watching the show, and all of a sudden here's Elvira, and in this case, having to deal with the maniac that is H.P. Lovecraft and the fact that Cthulhu is really not friendly. So it's a fun way. It's a fun way to approach the character, and it's a fun way to approach the story. So really a good pickup.
And a huge shout out to David Avalone. I mean, David is the king when it comes to writing pulp stories, and it's one of the reasons I love reading all of his stuff, whether it is Elvira or any of the Edgar Rice Burroughs related characters, or even he's working with Kevin Eastman over at Image Comics on Drawing Blood, which is like an autobiographical or a semi-autobiographical story of Kevin Eastman's youth, slightly fictionalized. David is a brilliant writer. We have to bring him on as a guest.
And Kevin would tell you that Drawing Blood he calls it historical semi-fiction.
There you go. Yes.
He stole that from me. I go, this seems fictional. And he goes, it kind of is. I go, so it's a historical semi-fiction? He goes, I like it. I'm using it. And I go, okay, draw me a Ninja Turtle now.
All right. So let's quickly wrap up the last of the FOC stuff. In the general publishing, Dark Horse has the amazing Scott Snyder and Tom Hardy. Yes, that Tom Hardy series Arcbound, continuing on with its third issue.
Have you been reading this?
I actually have not. I hate to say it. I have the issues literally in my pile right over there. I need to sit down and read it.
Bro, it is Halo meets Sherlock Holmes.
That is a pitch point right there. Oh, I mean, like,
and by the way, you can hear when you read it, you can hear Tom Hardy doing Bane voice when you read the main character. I don't know how this guy died, but let's throw him in the airlock. You know, that like I said, it's Halo meets Sherlock Holmes in space. It's in space, but it's not really space is like a character, not necessarily an important bit. And it just, like I said, it's a very interesting take. There are very few comics that I read on a weekly basis that I can't sort of suss out the premise pretty quick. This is one of the more unique concepts that I've encountered recently in comics. It isn't entirely a new concept, but the approach that Tom and Scott are taking on it really does come at a story that maybe you feel like you've heard from an angle that you definitely have not.
Yeah. Well, and another Dark Horse one that I really quickly want to touch on is Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ashes of the Academy. If you are an Avatar: The Last Airbender fan and you have not been reading Dark Horse's graphic novels by Gene Luen Yang and Faith Erin Hicks, you are missing out, because these truly continue the story after the cartoon ended. They're still written in consultation and co-written by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, who are the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. But this continues the story of Aang. And this one actually less Aang, as we get to deal with Zuko, now the Fire Lord, enrolling his his half-sister, Ki, into the Fire Academy. This has me super excited. We're going to get Mai back in there in a major role. So if you've been dying for more of Aang and Zuko and all of that fun, you need to read these graphic novels. This one, a standalone graphic novel, is going to have me super excited. And Faith Erin Hicks has been kicking butt with these. They're awesome. I love this stuff. I cannot wait for more of our Avatar cast. I want to give a shout out to Comicsburg, a Pittsburgh-based comic publisher, for doing a Beowulf graphic novel that is on FOC. A lot of continuing items that, as always, you can see on previewsworld.com/finalordersdue and get your orders.
If you're not reading Matt Cave's Dick Tracy, what are you even doing? It is fantastic.
Yeah,
they've started to diverge. They've started to diverge from the 1930s and 40s Dick Tracy storylines. Like, it's kind of been a retelling of the traditional Dick Tracy with a modern sensibility. They're starting to diverge from that now a little bit. Not a ton. Alex Segura is doing a really good job of walking that line. And so just shout out to Dick Tracy.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that you can get the first 5 issues if your store doesn't already have them in stock in this Encore edition set, and then issue 7, the newest issue, on FOC. Another big shout out for EC fans, Dark Horse putting the archives out there, those classic 1950s and 60s stories, crime suspense stories with that iconic cover, is on trade. This collects issues number 19 through 27 of crime suspense stories. We also have to give another shout out to another Mad Cave title, Gotchaman. Cullen Bunn has been taking one of my favorite anime hero groups, the Science Ninja Team from the 1980s. You may know him as G-Force. You may know him as Gotchaman. You may know the title as Battle of the Planets. But this one seems like it's a fun standalone one-shot, focusing on our heroes doing a Goonies-like adventure. So, not to mention that beautiful vehicle blueprint cover being done by Sanford Green. This is awesome. Absolutely love Gotchaman. So, a lot of continuing series, a lot of reprints and everything on FOC. But you can see that all at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. Let's go to the top 5 though. Let's cut back to our normally it'd be a top 10, but this is a small FOC week. So let's cut to our top 5 of what we're going to talk about.
I clicked the wrong thing again. I keep clicking the wrong thing when we go to do this, man.
Okay, so the big 5 that you need to reach out to your local comic shop about, and obviously Arcbound. You heard Kyle talk this up very heavily. This is Tom Hardy, the actor Tom Hardy, Venom himself, along with Scott Snyder on a Dark Horse sci-fi series that, dude, sorry, give me that pitch one more time. That was phenomenal. It made me
Halo meets Sherlock Holmes.
Halo meets Sherlock Holmes. I mean, the classic video game and character with literally one of the most well-known characters in prose literature, the best detective there is. So
second
beautiful
best detective there is, but we can argue that later.
All right, but Dan Panosian cover, one of the top artists of the past few months and one of the long-term industry beloved artists doing that stunning cover. Then I have to point out Power Rangers Prime. I'm going to give you a slight spoiler if you haven't read issue number 1 yet. The big crossover with the Power Rangers with another Sentai group of warriors from the 90s. I won't outright say who it is in case you haven't read, but that is a big deal. We're getting a third printing on Power Rangers Prime number 1 with a character design cover. Character design covers doing great on the aftermarket. A lot of people really, really loving those. So beautiful, beautiful cover right there on that third printing by Michael Ying.
And keep an eye on Melissa Flores. I think she's someone who is really carving a name out and is going to be doing massive, massive, massive things very soon.
Yeah, I got to say, all the Boom Power Ranger writers have really blown up. I mean, not that, Ryan Perot and Kyle Higgins weren't big before that, but post their Power Ranger runs, Kyle Higgins blowing up the Supermassiverse. Ryan Perot obviously has that awesome Vicarious series. So Melissa Flores, grab her Power Rangers, then grab everything she does after. Then we have the Book of Cutter. There's an FOC cover. So a cover revealed at time of final order cutoff. This is a cover you're going to want to order. It is beautiful. It is haunting. And I mean, with James Tynion and Werther Deladera on writing and interior artwork, this is one to have. I mean, do you remember this character from issue 25 of something?
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking about, I wonder how I go about getting a die cut of this.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is just everything about this is I have to pick this up off the stand. So all the better to order it in advance and guarantee your shop will have it for you. Then Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, Flameo, my friends. Flameo right there. I'm excited to see what it is like to grow up and go to a school in the Fire Nation, and with Mai stepping in as a teacher, Fire Lord Zuko trying to make sure everything, runs a little less tyrannically than it was when the Fire Nation attacked. This should be a fun one for the Avatar fans. And finally, the big one. This one's really cool that Nikki and the guys at Dynamite offered this. So Gargoyle's Quest was already a cool one, but the fact that you can order from your local comic shop, you're not lining up for hours at a convention you had to fly out to, book a hotel and everything. You can go to your local comic shop and order by Monday Gargoyle Quest #1, signed not only by the writer of it, but the creator of the classic Gargoyles cartoon, Greg Weisman. That is awesome.
And I think Greg's only doing like 3 shows this year, and like none of them are big shows. Like I know there's a mid-sized one like in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
so like
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of conventions. He's too busy working on stuff. So it's hard to get a Greg Weisman signature. And if you can, he's a wonderful person to talk to. He's a great conversation, great dude. But it's just really hard to find a guy and meet up with him to get it signed. So going through Dynamic Forces is a really, really good way to do that.
Yeah. So, and then this is the best thing is on top of that, you're still supporting your local comic shop with this purchase. So please reach out to your local comic shop if you want these. They may be allocated, so you have to understand on that, but reach out to your local comic shop, see if they can order this for you. You're giving money to your local small business comic shop. You're supporting them while you're getting a super awesome item signed by a major figure, Greg Weisman, who created the Gargoyles cartoon, who is writing the Gargoyles comics that continue it, and also wrote one of my favorite novels in the Magic the Gathering universe. So Greg Weisman autograph, super cool thing to get, and you get it from your local comic shop.
Absolutely.
All right, those were the top 5. We will be back next Friday, actually, which I guess is that's the very last show of 2024. It'll be another small FOC week, so it might just be a top 5 again. We'll have another great special guest that we will be able to talk to, and focus a little bit more on indie books before 2025 relaunches us with all the big publishers.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you don't know where your local comic shop is, or you're looking for a local comic shop nearby to you, or if you're traveling for the holidays and you want to visit a local comic shop where you are, head over to comicshoplocator.com, and that will point out where there are comic shops nearby to you. You type in the numbers of the area where you are. I can never remember what the name of the numbers are, so you just type in the numbers. And Yeah, sure. But then, yeah, that will tell you where there are local comic shops. Give them a call. Holiday hours are a thing, man. Make sure they're going to be there before you make a trip out. And if you go, try and spend at least $5. Like, it's not hard to spend $5 in a comic shop, but if you're somebody who walks into a comic shop that's never been there and you spend $5, it's $5 that guy wouldn't have made otherwise. Tune into all the other great shows here on The Experience the rest of the week. Head over to Nowhere Games and Comics and follow them on all the socials and do all the things over there. And remember, guys, it's a busy season at your LCS. Have some patience. Buy everything there. Look, if your LCS buys snacks, take that to Christmas dinner. Like, buy snacks at your LCS and take it to Christmas dinner. Whatever you got to do to support your LCS this time of year, it's super important. So thank you for being here. Thank you to Kenneth and to Mark, Man vs. Sound. Thank you to Joel. Thank you to Eric Orega. Thank you to Trekking Universe, who are over there on Instagram, and everybody. And we will see everybody next time.
One last thing I really want to say is I want to remind everyone, this show isn't just valuable live. Please feel free to share it on social media, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or any of the options. Let people know, because this is important all the way up until Monday at 6 p.m. to make sure everyone knows about these comics that your local comic shop can order. And as always, while I am from nowhere, I want to point out that, you got to go to your local comic shop, support your local comic shop, whatever it is, wherever it is. Give it a shout out in the comments, share it on there. Make sure people go to wherever you can get comics, particularly small local shops. Make sure you're ordering through them. Make sure you are getting the books you want to get. They're getting the books you want for you, and you're supporting local comic shops.
Let's do this. Let's have some fun. We got to get out of here. Matthias and I both have other things we have to get to today, although we'd like to stay with you guys longer. But I'm going to do something that I've not done on this show yet. If you are watching this on the replay, comment your local comic shop. I don't care what platform you're on. If you're watching this after we end the show, comment the name of your local comic shop, and we will pick one, and that person will win Bunny Mask #1 Aftershock Ambassador exclusive variant, Maniac of New York #1 Aftershock Ambassador exclusive variant, and Baby Teeth #17 Aftershock Ambassador exclusive variant. I will give these away to one person who comments after the show, naming their local comic shop, and I'll do the exact same bundle for somebody who shares this show out after the fact. Boom.
Like that. I'd have to do something like that on a future show too. So yeah, but that's the thing, is you want people to discover not only awesome new comics and guarantee they're getting them with those orders. You want people to discover the local comic shop and the fun of that community. So yeah, please do that. Please. I want to see a bunch of comic shop names. I want to see a bunch of really cool comic shops named in various comments, and it is all shared around, because it is about discovering new shops and finding awesome places where you can be a part of the community and enjoy this stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.